So now we're going to cook our chicken for our healthy chicken parmesan. What I have here, I just pulled it out of the refrigerator. It's some really beautiful free-range chicken. I bought the whole breast and I cut them into cutlets myself. I don't always do that. Sometimes I buy the cutlets. But today we went to a store that didn't have cutlets and they just had the beautiful breast, so I cut the cutlets myself. It's about equal to one chicken breast cut in half on the thick end, and then the thin end, we kind of left the thin end the way it is. So they're just, you know, they're a little bit thinner than a breast. We didn't pound them out or anything like you might do if you were making some recipes. But what I'm going to do, I've got a non-stick pan here. You can do this in a regular pan, but because we're cooking very lean chicken breast with no skin or anything to protect it, if we used a regular saute pan that wasn't non-stick, we'd have to put a lot of olive oil in it or a lot of some kind of fat to keep it from sticking, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it healthy. So we're just going to use a little bit of olive oil and we're going to saute it in this non-stick pan. So I'm going to put my pan on. High, and we're going to let that heat up until just as the pan starts to smoke. While that's heating up, I'm going to take my chicken breast, and I have about 2 layers here, so I can't season them both layers at once, but I also can't cook all of it at once. I'm going to cook probably 4, maybe 5 pieces at one time. If I try to cook more than that, the pan is going to get too crowded. It's not going to get a nice saute. It's not going to get nice and brown, which is what we want, and it's just not going to taste good. So we're going to cook it in batches, and then we're going to move it to this pan where we're going to eventually put it in the oven once we add the sauce and some other stuff to it. But for now, I'm going to season. And don't be afraid to put a decent amount of salt and pepper on your food, because that's what's going to give some nice flavor. You know, we don't want to over salt. Certainly nobody wants too salty food, and salt isn't all that healthy, but we want a little bit of salt. You know, we want to have some flavor in every piece. So I've got that top layer seasoned. My pan is heating up. Be ready in just a moment. I'm going to give my sauce a stir here. Now this sauce has been cooking now for just about 25 to 30 minutes since we added the tomatoes. And you can see the basil is not quite as green. It's softened up, and it's really starting to look like a nice sauce. I'm going to get a spoon and taste that sauce now. If you remember, we added some salt and pepper when we were cooking the onions, and then we added some more salt and pepper when we added the tomatoes. But now that it's been cooking for a few minutes, or 30 minutes, I'm going to taste it. Don't want to burn my mouth. Really good. Really good. It's bright. It's got nice fresh tomato flavor, nice garlic flavor, nice sweet onion flavor. Very good. It doesn't need any more salt. However, I think you could use another couple of grinds of pepper. I use the term couple loosely. There we go. So that sauce is good to go. Now that sauce, you could just cook yourself some pasta and have a wonderful meal with that sauce right there. And we are going to use some of the sauce just like it is on the pasta. I don't know if you can see, but the pan is starting to smoke just a little bit, and that's just where we want it. We're going to take some olive oil, and once again, remember, this is a healthy dish. So we're not looking to use a ton of fat, just really enough to coat the pan And you know what? Actually, I didn't even want to use that much. So I'm going to dump a little bit out right in the sink. And then I'm going to take my breasts and I'm going to put the seasoned ones, seasoned side down. Turn this fan up just a bit so we don't smoke up the house. It's going to be a little loud. That's all I'm going to put in the pan right now.